Hello Redditors, welcome back to Tales Against Humanity. Now, let's get started. In today's episode, EM tries to get my 4-year-old sister arrested. My grandma demands I give my skateboard to my cousin. My EP removed my therapist because he's not telling them anything. Eb, entitled brat/bully EM, entitled Mother M, my little sister, 4T, my best friend, 14M, D, my little brother, 4G, my youngest brother, 3A, my best friend's little sister, 5. So this was almost 12 years ago, but to this day, I'm still proud of my sister, and this still makes me laugh. I was 14 and used to take my 3 siblings to the park to play after school. M, D, both 4, and G, 3. I was playing football with D outside of the park, whilst T, 14M, was a 5, and M and G playing in the park. This 13-year-old EB came over and pushed G off the swings incredibly hard. T was playing with it but went over and asked EB to leave G alone and stop bullying little kids. EB told him to F***K off, and it was his playground. T took A, M, and G off to the other side of the park to play on the train climbing frame. A fell off and T went to help her clean her knee up and put a plaster on. Next thing we know, EB is screaming on the floor. His mom is storming out of her house screaming at the top of her lungs. Who does this little B***ch belling to, and pointing at my sister. It turns out that EB had pushed M and hit G again, so M walked over to EB. Told him to leave them alone. EB had pushed her again, so she full-on kicked him in the balls. I always told my sister if someone grabbed her or hurt her to kick them in the balls and run away, as we lived in a dodgy area. EM is screaming she will get M arrested for assault and get me arrested for allowing her and teaching her to do it. Every parent in that park, plus myself and my friend, told her that we would all press charges against EB for bullying and assaulting children, and unlike my 4-year-old sister, he would be likely to get charged as there were multiple victims and be as old enough to be taken to court. She threw a massive hissy fit, called the police, they turned up, asked questions, and basically laughed at her and left. They gave EB a stern talking to and a warning. And none of us saw him in the kids' park again. Story 2. My grandma demands I give my skateboard to my cousin. Oh boy, this one was fun to watch unfold. When I was in the 1st grade, Zick and Luther were rocking in my country. Every kid my age knew them and watched the show on a daily basis, so obviously everyone wanted to be a skateboarder and do tricks and race and stuff. I bought a skateboard out of my own hard-earned money. I paid around $75 money, which I think was approx $25–30 at the time, and I got this really cool adult-sized, because there were also kid-size, skateboard like the ones in the show, and it had a cool graphic with something like a tech town map on the bottom. Really cool. Anyway, I always sucked at it and never really liked using it, but it's still something I hold dear and will never ever give away or let anyone else use it because it's mine. Like fully mine. Anyway, a week ago or so, a cousin of mine, 10F I think, came to visit and somehow saw it under my bed and asked my mom if she could have it since I'm not using it anymore. My mom said no, and that was that. There is another cousin, 11F I think, I'm not really sure, I just know she's 1 year older, whose parents work abroad, and she grew up with my grandma, so you can imagine who's the favorite grandkid. I'm not saying it's the girl's fault, but my grandma is super protective sometimes to the point that it gets dumb, and you'll see what I'm talking about. 10F went to visit 11F a few days ago, and they had an argument in which 10F told 11F that I agreed to give her my skateboard, which, as I said above, it's a lie. 10F only said this despite 11F. Here's where it gets interesting. 11F actually went to grandma and apparently cried because of it. Can you imagine, crying because I'm giving my skateboard to someone else, which I'm not, when she didn't even want a skateboard in the first place? Now my grandma gets into super protective mode and calls my mom to berate her for giving my skateboard to 10F because, and I quote, does she want to get 11F sick? What is 11F going to do now without a skateboard? And the conclusion, we should give the skateboard to 11F instead. Like with the actual fuck. Long story short, my mom got to the bottom of it. 10F admitted to lying just to spite 11F. Mom told grandma that the skateboard is going nowhere, and apparently this made 11F cry even harder. She was helping on getting that skateboard, and my grandma now changed her mind and say that if I don't give it to 11F, I should at least give it to 10F so they can both enjoy it. They're neighbors, and my mom is like, we ain't giving away any skateboards. Meanwhile, my mom kept me updated and she seemed amused at first, but now my grandma insisting for that skateboard is starting to piss her off. Currently, this is where it ends. I can guarantee that skateboard is going nowhere, but I can keep you guys updated if you want to hear some other dumb, made-up reasons. Story 3. My EP removed my therapist because he's not telling them anything. Op. Me M. Entitled Mother. F. Entitled Father T. Therapist. About 2 years ago, I told my parents I wanted to see a therapist. They asked why, so I told them it was for reasons they shouldn't care about. I've only had one therapist, and the one I had was amazing while he lasted. He would help me cope with many things, like the loss of my aunt and my cat. He was a young man, probably in his late 20s, early 30s, and he knew how to understand and hear me out. My parents would always go in to talk with this guy afterward, and I used to think it was to pay him to thank him, since it only ever took about 90 seconds. Until a week ago, when I was told I would not be seeing him again. The conversation went a bit like this. You're not seeing T again. Op. Why? F. Because he's not doing his job right. Op. He is supposed to listen to me and help M. EF cuts me off. F. No, he's supposed to tell us what's wrong with you. Because he's not your guardian, we are. Op. That's not how a therapist works, Dad. Don't speak to your father that way. EM slaps me across the face. Op. Okay. Just don't hit me again. Anyways, you're going to tell us everything wrong if there is a problem, got it? Op. Wait, you're taking my therapist away. He doesn't tell us anything. That's his job, to let us know what's wrong with you. This continued until I changed the subject to something else, but my parents are definitely a piece of work. Their version of help is grounding me from things like Discord or seeing friends, which is 1. Unfair. It doesn't allow any communication with anyone who wants to help me in the correct way. 2. Doesn't allow me to talk with anyone besides my parents who hit me and have beaten me in the past. 3. Forces me to deal with stress, anxiety, and depression alone. Another problem with my parents is that they only hear what they want to hear and think that they know what is best for me. They once tried to stop me from being homosexual by sending me to a camp where they would try to pray the gay away, which didn't help. I wish there was a happy ending, where I would get to live with my friends, or I had a relative of some sort who would help, but there isn't. I will update this if that changes, but for now I have to deal with this. Make sure to like and subscribe for more interesting stories.